So you've been after your dream guest for months and months and months to come onto your podcast. And finally, they've agreed. On the last email that you sent to them, you asked if they could possibly wear headphones and use a decent mic if they have one to make the audio sound better and be in a quiet room as well. You get onto the Zoom call and horror of horrors. They're sitting in the kitchen and there's not a headphone in sight. What do you do? Hi, my name's David, and here on the channel, each and every week we talk tech and audio, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos about making your audio sound better. So if we go back to the situation in hand, here you are on the Zoom call, you're looking at your dream guest, and you can see and hear that the audio is not going to be very good. What do you do? Well, you've got choices. You can either break the rapport that you built up with them and ask them to go and find some headphones, which means they're going to have to possibly leave the room that they're in to go and find them, or they're going to tell you they haven't got any. Either way, you've broken the moment. The other option, of course, and I've been here, is you decide to take one for the team. You suck it up, you record the podcast, but in the back of your mind, through the recording of the entire podcast, you are thinking this audio does not sound good. And how am I going to clean it up? It's a horrible feeling to have. But on the video today, we are going to show you how to clean up your audio in one simple process to make it sound like that dream guest is sitting in the studio right next to you. So the bit of software that I'm talking about is free to use. Well, free to use as long as you don't want to transcribe. It's called Descript. It's a simple web-based application, and it's so simple to use. So I think what we need to do is jump over to Descript now and show you just how simple it is to make your audio sound great.
So here we are within Descript, the web-based application that I told you about that's going to make your audio sound wonderful. Now, what I want you to do, whatever file, whatever test file or actual job file you're going to be using through the course of this video with me, put it in your downloads folder. I just want it to be somewhere where you already know where it is, so you can follow along with me with as few interruptions as possible. And we'll probably go through this a couple of times. And again, if there's anything that you think I can improve on these videos to help you learn easier, just let me know in the comments. What you need to do once you're inside Descript is head over here to New. You hit that plus button, the big plus button to the side of New. And once you're in there, you open up a project. I'm just going to call this one Test. And it's in a drive. You can create a number of drives for yourself within Descript, but for the purposes of this instance, I'll assume that you will have downloaded Descript, and that will be the native drive that it creates for you. So you create a project. Once you are in here, it's a little bit confusing as to where to go, and I couldn't find any good videos to help me when I was trying to get used to using Descript, but it's actually really, really simple. Once again, you go to the plus sign up here, and what you want to do is add in a voice file. Now, the file I'm using, as I said, I put into my downloads. It's a very small file simply because it has to upload to the cloud and then be downloaded. I'm crossing off this box here that says transcribe because we can use this for free if you don't use a transcription. So all we're going to do now is add an effect, which you do over here. And the magic effect that we're going to use is called Studio Sound. As you can see, it is now going to run this process for us over this file. Now, this will vary as to how long it takes, of course, depending on how big the file you're uploading is, because it has to upload it, then it has to process it, and there's a lot of processing going on. And then at the end of it, we have to download it as well. So the file, because it's so small, has now, by the looks of it, done its work here. I'm on reasonable speeds, but again, of course, the length of time this will take will depend on your connection speeds. So I'm going to play this back for you now so you can hear the difference it has made. First of all, I'll turn the effect off and you can hear how the file natively sounds. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. And then we'll turn it back on and you will hear now with the studio sound effect within Descript how good this sounds. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. It really is amazing, isn't it? I'll turn it off one more time. Let's run that again. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. And then adding it back on again. I'll take that back to the beginning and play it one more time. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. And it really is as simple as that. What we need to do now is learn how to export the file out of Descript back down to your, say, downloads folder and eventually back into Adobe Audition. So if you go into Share and Export, choose yourself an audio file. That's the title of the file. As you can see, it's been exporting in a WAV lossless format. And you can export it. I'll call it Test Final. still into the downloads, and you can see there it's exported. It's as simple as that. So let's do that one more time, shall we? I'll go back into my drive and I'll delete that one out so we can do it all over again, just to make sure you can see how simple it really is to work within Descript. So once again, hit the plus sign. You want to create yourself a project. Give the project a title. It's going to go into your drive if you want to find where it is afterwards, and you create that project. Then, once again, hitting the plus sign, you select a voice file. You find your file that you want to upload to Descript. Turn off transcribe and let Descript run its magic. We'll let the file run through, and then what we want to do is add an effect. And as you know, it is studio sound that we want to run. So you can see here from this circle that's moving that Descript is doing its little bit of sparkle to make our audio sound fantastic. And this will depend, of course, how long this takes on how big your file is and your broadband connection speeds. I'm okay where I am. I'm around about 80 up and 20 down. If you have got a gig either way, I'm envious. It would make my life so much simpler. So I'm going to turn it off again first of all there, and you can hear what it sounds with no studio sound. And you can see that because it's got a line striking through it. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. Let's turn it back on and run that one more time. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. Simple as that. To get the file back out, go to Share, go to Export, pick out an audio file, pick the format. I mean, we have got WAV, but you can choose an AAC file or an MP3, but don't forget MP3 isn't lossless. It is slightly compressed already, so I'd always suggest you get a lossless version to export. I love working in WAV. Once you've got that selected, you can choose where it's going to go and what title you're going to give it. So I'll just call this test 1 as we've already downloaded it. And there you go. You have now imported your file into Descript. You've ran studio sound over the top of it to make it sound amazing. And you've learned how to export it too, so it's ready to use in Adobe Audition. Here we are then back in Adobe Audition, my favorite audio editor. And I've got a few things I'm going to show you. The first of which is by getting that original file from my downloads folder, that test file, and just bringing it in here to Adobe Audition. Now, within Adobe Audition, you can do some correction yourself, much the same as Descript has done, but in my opinion, Descript does it a lot better than I can do it. So here is the file. First of all, let me just show right at the beginning here, this noise here. If I pull up spectral frequency, which is this symbol here, this shows you sound basically in a picture format. So you can see in a color format, you can see what's going on. Now, all of this rubbish, for want of a better term here, all these splinters of colour, this should be black, this should be clean. This is decay and background noise on a Zoom call. If I just turn this, let me turn this volume on this little clip all the way up, and you should be able to hear what's going on within there. That is all background noise that we can, well, certainly within Adobe Audition, we're going to try to get rid of. So the way I would go around trying to clean this file up, if I was sent this from a client, if I was working on this before I'd found Descript, easiest way to find those, I think, is going to Effects, and then I would go to Noise Reduction, pick out something like the denoise that you just saw there, and I would denoise it using, again, one of the presets. Let's go for a heavy denoise. This is picking out all frequencies, and it tells you here exactly where they're looking at. That's focusing on lower frequencies, that's focusing on the mids, that's lower and highs. It tells you here, and that's on the higher frequencies. Most of the time, you can leave it on all frequencies, and this is just how much you want to affect it by. Don't forget, if you push it all the way up to 100, you're likely to get a little bit of decaying sounds. So I would tend to be fairly cautious of that. Just go with whatever preset value Adobe gives you. It does a decent job, as we will see. So if I apply a little bit of denoising, you can immediately see, if I bring up here, this is the A and B, this is showing a preview, you can see that's the amount of noise and background noise we had on the original file, and it's cleaned it up quite considerably now. You can see that's a lot better there. So that's the first thing I would tend to do, is by pulling up the denoise and running that. And don't forget, this is destructive because we are in the waveform, we're not in a multi-track. This is destructive. So once you apply this, it is done and baked in for good. So there you go. That's got rid of a fair bit of the background noise already there. The next thing I would probably do is pick out again from the noise reduction is go into de-reverb, which you will find down here. Again, we're going to pick out the, let's pick out the heavy reverb. I'm not going to alter anything here and just apply it. So we've done noise reduction, we've done de-reverb to get rid of some of the reflection that was in the room. And then the last thing I would probably do here in this dynamics panel here, you've got 3 options you can use, which I'll be covering the other elements in future videos. But for the time being, we're just using the compressor. And if you're confused about what a compressor does, think about it in these simple terms. And this is a very simple way of putting it, that it will make the quieter bits louder and the louder bits quieter. So you end up with a more even waveform. I'm using fairly standard settings of a -20 threshold. That's when the compressor will kick in. And then we're using a ratio of 3:1 at the output. You don't need to worry about the attack and release. I've got mine set fairly quick for speech. It's a fairly standard setting, and I'm not using any makeup gain. That basically is adding in the volume that you've lost through to compression. But again, I'll cover that in future videos. For the time being, we are just applying these effects to see what kind of file we get at the end of the processes you can carry out within Adobe Audition natively. I'm now going to save this file out, which is Command, Shift and S as the shortcut. If I bring that dialog window into view for you, if we just call this Adobe Test, that will then, and I'll put it in the downloads, that's going to give me 3 files. So I'm going to close this one down now. In my downloads folder, you will see that I've got 3 files here. We've got the Adobe Test we just created, the original file, and the test final, which is the file that came from Descript. For your interest now, I just thought I would open a multi-track session. It's just a basic mono session because we're using voice only. Again, it goes to downloads. Let's open that session up, and I'm going to bring those 3 files in to the multi-track so we can have a look and listen to the differences that they have made. So let's bring in the original file first. Then we'll bring in the file that I just made better in Adobe Audition. We'll bring in the Descript version, which was the test final. So on this first clip here, you can see that it's not compressed at all. The waveforms are moving up and down a fair bit, and that's the one with all of the background noise in. This with some compression on and the other noise cleaning elements, and this is the one that Descript created for us. So if I just set the playhead back here, and let's hear what they sound like. They're going to run straight into one another, and you should be able to hear the difference. By the time we get to this one here, the Descript one, you should hear the difference. So let's run it back and just roll these. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. And I think you'll agree that by comparison to the first file, indeed to the second file, which is what I would have had to have done in the old days before I found Descript, and then the work that Descript done is just amazing. We'll run it one more time. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. So this is me doing a test recording, which I'm going to send over to Descript to see how well it cleans it up. And I think you'll agree that that file that Descript has made for us is near enough studio quality, considering I recorded this directly on my iPhone 12 in a very bad reflective environment right up against the mirror, so I knew that we were going to be getting a lot of bounce back and reflection of audio. And I think you'll agree that Descript has done an amazing job. And let me just show you, if I double click on this file, and that will take it into waveform, and look at this in spectral. This is showing you the colours of all that background noise, all of this rubbish, for want of a better term around here, is what was on that original file. And if we now go back to the multi-track, go on to Descript, and don't forget I've done nothing with this Descript file. Look how clean that is. It is beautiful. And Descript has done that for us natively, just through dropping it into their service and running it. It's an absolute godsend. It's something you really need to be using on all of your audio. So there you go. In this video, I have hopefully at least shown you how easy it is to use Descript. I've shown you how to find your file, locate it, and upload it into Descript, then to apply studio sound, save it, and export it out into your folders or download folders, desktop, wherever you choose, ready to use in Adobe Audition in order to make your podcast. If there's anything else you'd like me to cover or recover and recap on in using Descript, let me know in the comments below. But using Descript, as I have over the past few months, has got me out of so many problems. My audio now on interviews over Zoom and any other VoIP call
sounds so much better. I hope you have great results with it like I have. And just before going, one really cool fact. I'm not going to go into detail here, but just to let you know that there's a really, really cool element of Descript that I haven't used yet, but it can actually create your own voice. In essence, what you do, you just read a script, it learns your voice. Then any future video that you might be recording with audio, if you make a mistake, rather than re-recording the whole video, you can just go in, find the transcribed document, type over your mistake. It's learnt your voice. I've watched videos on it and it is spooky. It is scarily good. Maybe that's something I'll show in a future video, but it's just another thing that Descript can do. But don't forget, do turn on the notifications and subscribe. Drop me a like as well, because it really helps me and the channel. But most importantly, turn on those notifications, because this is going to be the first in a series of videos where I show you how to make your audio sound as good as that of a pro. So until the next time, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.